What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the PlayStation Drive. This is episode 109. My name's Matt, and I'll be your driver for this adventurous event. I'm joined, as always, by the sound garden man himself, Mr. Court Lalonde. What's up, Court?
I'm good. And honestly, we did not plan this.
Nope.
And we were dying laughing that we were both wearing white band shirts as soon as the show started. That is not lost on us.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was totally not planned, and even though I probably sound sarcastic saying that, it actually wasn't. We just rolled up on this bright and early Friday morning, both with the same style, because that's how we do. On this week's show, we are pre-recording, everybody, so this is going live on a regular scheduled time on Monday and Tuesday, but, you know, it's Canada Day and 4th of July, and, you know, we got families and stuff, so we're here hanging out now on this bright and bushy early Friday morning to talk some PlayStation, as we do. And another note of housekeeping before we get into the rigmarole, just letting everybody know that I will be out for next week's show. I'm next up on the Carpool host mental health break. I'm going to be taking a couple weeks off as I transition jobs. I'm going to take some time to, you know, redo the setup and just play some games and relax a little bit with the wife and the pup. But just letting you know that I'll be off next week, and I'll probably be a little less active in the Discord and on Twitter and stuff. But, you know, if you need me, you know you can always hit me up in either one of those places, and I shall be there. But I will be back. Court will be running things next week with Seth?
Seth.
The $2 hero himself, Seth will be back next week to hang out with Court, and then I'll be back again the following week. And just to continue this little bit of housekeeping, if you're listening to this on your podcast service of choice, hit us with those 5 stars. Leave us a wonderful review. We appreciate them all very, very much. If you're watching us on youtube.com/carpoolgaming, hey, good to see you. If you know, look at the band shirts. Do you like band shirts? I like band shirts. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share.
Tell us which band is better, Soundgarden or Blink-182, but based on, like, you know, probably the age grab, everybody's going to say Blink-182.
Feeling this! Yeah, so get ready for that. And if you have extra bucks to toss our way, head to patreon.com/carpoolgaming, toss in bucks in the tip jar, and now comes a massive cornucopia of content for you to consume. Without further ado, my friend, I feel like we've been a little busy because games are just eating our lives right now. We're in this like June hectic season before we get a little bit of a calm down in July and August before things ramp back up in September. But Court, what's been on your playlist?
It's the same. So it's still Final Fantasy 16.
Shocked.
I am 48% according to my PlayStation.
Okay.
I'm not playing it as fast as everybody in our Discord. Like I see where like they're at like 60-something% when we were like tied the other day. I'm like, Jesus, man, like I just don't have time for this, but I'm still enjoying it. I know there's a lot of discourse behind this game. As usual, I don't care. It's about if I like the game or not, and I still am enjoying my time with Final Fantasy 16, and I'm playing a lot of the Division 2. I'm playing with some people in the community, and I've even seen that people in our PlayStation Drive community have downloaded it, and they're going to try and come in and join me on some adventures in the world of Division 2. But yeah. It hasn't really changed in what I'm playing, and probably that's what I'm going to play until I finish Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah, I'm with you, dude. I am continuing my journey on Final Fantasy 16 as well. I think I'm probably around 14 or 15 hours in, and I'm loving it. Like you said, there's stuff that's there that like I get, like the side quests are okay. The open world is okay, but everything else. I
stopped doing the side quests.
Yeah, like everything else around that is fantastic. Like the characters are great, the writing's awesome, the action is just so much fun. I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm excited to keep going with it. It keeps surprising me in ways that I'm just like, I know what's gonna happen next, and then it doesn't happen, and something else does, and I'm like, never mind, I don't know what's gonna happen next. And I like it when a game can keep me on my old tiddly toes. So I'm enjoying that. And of course, I had a review go live a couple days ago. So if you haven't seen it on the channel, go check it out for Synapse, which is a new PSVR 2 game. Court might be my favorite PSVR 2 game, like period, like so far.
It sounded like that from your review. I said that to you when Matt gave me an early preview of the review, and I watched it. And my first comment to him was like, "You really sound like you love this game." Like I could actually sense the joy in your expressions and how you were talking about the game. Does it make me want to try it? Maybe, but knowing it's a roguelike, it's just like, like I know this is against everything I've said. Like I'm trying new games, but I have tried every roguelike you have told me to try. And the same thing keeps happening. And I think it may be, even in the Division 2, a game I love, they just added a new element to the game, which is roguelike.
Yep. Again, dude, if you don't...
I ain't feeling it.
You ain't in that sound garden. But yeah, dude, I'm loving it. Like, it is a roguelike, so for anybody who hasn't seen this game, we've seen it at a state of play, we've seen it at a showcase, but essentially you are running through this like mindscape of a person. It's all grayscale outside of like the pops of color with the enemies, with like the bullets and some of the environmental stuff that you can use to, grab a crate, bring it over somebody's head and just drop it on them and crush it with it. It is a ton of fun. It is so much fun that it is actually actively pulling me away from Final Fantasy 16. The other night I was sitting there, I was like, I'm going to hop back into Final Fantasy for an hour. No, you know what? I'm going to do a run in Synapse. And then that's what I did.
So you only did the one chapter. Have you done?
So I've done the first run, which took me, I would say, like the run itself was about 52 minutes. It took me about 3 hours in completion to be able to beat the first run. On the second run now, I've played for a couple more hours. I've gotten like right to the end a few times and then just, died because like each run gets progressively harder. But like the skill tree is like meaningful. Within the first hour, I unlocked upgrades that I was like, I feel like a Jedi as you're like tossing people left, right, and center, picking people up, tossing them in lava, grabbing grenades out of the air and throwing back at them, picking up barrels and just floating them over somebody's face and blowing it up in their face. It's just so much fun. The gunplay is great, but these telekinesis force powers that you have are like next level. And I kept being like, I was using the force powers because that's pretty much been my go-to. And I'm like, I wish I had a way to like, make like pull something further out or pull something further in. And I'm just like, because I've just basically been waving things around, all over the
Star
place.
Wars?
Pretty much.
Okay.
But then
So it's Final Fantasy 16.
I unlocked.
Crazy.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But then I unlocked an ability that let me pull things in further and push things out farther. So it's like all the upgrades that you're looking for are there. It's just like, how do you make do with what you have until you get those things? It is just a blast. And for somebody who has a lot of issues with motion sickness, I'm playing this game in full locomotion with feeling absolutely nothing. Like, I've not been even slightly sick even once.
Are you sitting or standing while playing?
Standing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm standing. I played this developer, so developers End Dreams. I've played one of the previous games with Fract, which was very well celebrated on the original PSVR. And it's like, again, it's like an action game. I immediately got motion sick. Immediately. And I wasn't really able to play much more of it. But with this one, full locomotion, absolutely no sickness whatsoever. The game is just a blast. Like, this is what I want out of PSVR 2. Like, it is a game that's like, here's a simple loop, but here's how playing this in VR completely changes the way that you would interact with it. It is just a ton of fun. I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm like coming back in to get the second and third runs done. Things get progressively harder, but it is so much fun. And it's like, dude, right now it's probably in my top 3 games this year, which I would never would have never expected coming into this. It is just that much fun. I'm actually going to bring in a question from the community. Hambo and Johnny asks, how are the accessibility options in Synapse? How would you rank it amongst the other VR shooters? So I'm going to put in a cut in right here talking about accessibility options. Bang! and we back. But in terms of how would I rank it amongst the other VR shooters, really loving it. Like, I think right now still Pavlov and Synapse are like my top 2 VR shooters, only because Pavlov is a much different experience. It's your, PvP Counter-Strike online, and Synapse is my favorite story-driven / like roguelike shooter so far, just because of how good it feels to play this game. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just how much fun it is. Like, the first time that you pick up a box and you're like, oh, it like moves the way that I want it to, because it actually uses your eyes. It's eye tracking. So when you look at it, you're able to force pick it up. So if you're looking at it, but then you look at the barrel, then you're going to pick that up. So the game works really, really well. So for me personally, from the ones that I've played, this is easily my favorite like story / roguelike shooter out of the bunch. But without further ado, my dude, we went into this week being like, oh, I don't know how much news we're going to have to talk about. And now we have a lot of news. So I'm going to flip us over to our first story, because we have a lot to talk about. We're going to get the smaller stuff out of the way before we jump into what is a massive FTC battle with Microsoft. PlayStation Plus for the month of July. PlayStation Plus essential games are Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, Alan Wake Remastered, and Endling Extinction is Forever. These will all be available on July 4th. The Call of Duty is the cross-gen bundle for PS4 and PS5. Alan Wake Remastered is the PS4 and PS5 version, and similarly, Endling is PS4 and PS5. So this is your final call to pick up June's games, which were NBA 2K23, Jurassic World Evolution 2, and Trek to Yomi. But, Court, how are we feeling about this month of PlayStation Plus Essential?
Alan Wake didn't speak to me. I bought it about a month ago, and I tried to jump into it, and it didn't speak to me when it was on Xbox 360. I loved Control, so I'm like, okay, maybe I need to go back. It didn't speak to me. A lot of people are telling you to try it. I heard it. People say it's a great game. They're probably not wrong. Just for me, it didn't speak. Call of Duty Cold War, I've never played it.
Okay.
So I haven't bought a Call of Duty in years. So now I'm like, you know what? I'm definitely going to try the campaign on this. I think it's a good lineup. Like, to me, it's like PlayStation Plus continues to have a good lineup. It's just like Xbox Game Pass continues to have great day one drops and so on and so forth. The two services do very well. But once again, this is just adding value. Another Bethesda game. No, sorry, this is an Activision game. It's very interesting how many Microsoft themed games, or possibly not a Microsoft themed game in the future, but we could have done the soundboard. Oh, missed opportunity. But it's we'll see. But I am very excited to jump into this. I've heard this campaign is awesome, so I'm gonna play it. And they gave us a PS5 version, which is great. The game is like $100 something to buy because these Call of Duty games, they very rarely get very cheap. They have, at most, I was almost going to buy Vanguard. Remember, I messaged you and it's $40, and I'm like, and then they announced Cold War, and I'm like, all right, I'll play that one. It's free.
Yep. This is like, I have heard good things about the Cold War campaign. I haven't bought a Call of Duty in years and years and years and years. So I'm sure the people that are excited about it or stoked about it. I'm curious. Maybe I'll check it out if there's time. Alan Wake Remastered is a game that I've never cared about, but people, shout out to Seth and shout out to Ryan who keep telling me that I need to play this game now. And if it's coming kind of next month, maybe I'll check it out ahead of Alan Wake 2 in October. Because I will say Alan Wake 2 is looking pretty cool.
Exactly.
But similarly, Alan Wake, from what every time I've seen the game, I'm like, this looks cool. Just don't know if it's for me. But with it coming to with Essential now, I might as well try it.
It plays old game is old, even though it's a remastered. And all you're using is a flashlight.
So it's Luigi's Mansion. And Endling is a game that I've wanted to try for a long time. I think the game looks beautiful. I just don't know if I'm ready to cry. Foxes are my favorite animals, and this is about I think a mom fox with the little kits. And I know that this is going to break my heart immensely, and I just don't know if I'm ready for that. But the game looks beautiful. Like, the art style is so nice. So we'll see if I end up hopping in to check that one out. But I think this is a really solid Essential month. Obviously we'll be talking about Extra and Premium in a couple of weeks, but you know what? Great job, PlayStation. This is a good month. Our next story coming from IGN, written by George Yang. Final Fantasy XVI sold 3 million copies during its launch week. Square Enix said that the milestone includes both physical and digital sales on PS5. Physical sales for the game in the UK were reportedly 74% lower than of its predecessor, Final Fantasy XV. Still, Final Fantasy XVI was the top overall seller during its launch week.
It's huge.
It's big, dude. It's big, especially because, Final Fantasy VII Remake, it goes on to say, shifted 30.5 million copies in 3 days when it launched as a PS4 exclusive. But obviously it had a much bigger launch install base than the PS5 has now. There was many tens of more PS4s out in the wild. And Final Fantasy 15 was also multi-platform. So
I wonder what that number would have been if they didn't have the demo. I truly do, because I think this demo sold me. I think this went a long way, because I even said to you, I'm like, I don't know if I'm day one. And then you're like, well, you can play the demo. And then I played the demo, and I'm like, I'm day one.
Well,
like,
check 'em in.
And we know a lot of people in the community the same way. They played the demo, and they're like, you know what? I like this game. So I know a lot of the discourse around this game is it's not a Final Fantasy game. And there's the memes, and there's the YouTube videos, and there's this, and there's that. But guess what? It's the biggest selling one, and that's what it's all about. They need to make money to continue to make these games, so good on them.
Listen, I don't doubt that the legs on this game are going to be huge, especially as folks continue to join the PS5 ecosystem, as people hop in and they hear the good buzz around the game. 3 million for an exclusive, I think, is great numbers, especially for something like Final Fantasy. So I don't doubt that this is going to continue to do well. The game is great, and obviously you and I are enjoying it quite a bit, and plenty of people in the Discord are as well. So I'm excited to keep going with it, and I think this is a really solid start. I think this is a really solid start, and could continue on to bigger and better things. Our next story before we get into all things Microsoft, FTC, and PlayStation, coming from Insider Gaming, written by Tom Henderson. Red Dead Redemption gets new rating in Korea. Red Dead Redemption has received a new rating in Korea, which has led some fans to suggest a remaster is on the way. The new rating is on the Korean rating board, has the classification a bunch of numbers and letters, with the NV and the numbers suggesting that the rating is for a console game. Although it's entirely possible that the rating could be for a remaster of Red Dead Redemption, it's worth noting that this is Rockstar Games, who are notoriously careful about preventing leaks. Personally, we believe this is unlikely an unannounced port to another console, but we'd love for that to be wrong, Court. What do you think? Is this a remake? Is this a remaster? Is this just a port? What are we getting for Red Dead Redemption?
I think we're getting a PS5, Xbox Series X version of Red Dead Redemption.
Okay, so like 60 frames. Here's the slightly glowed up. Not like a full remaster, but not.
I would love it to be the other, but I think it's going to be, Red Dead 2, but looking Red Dead 1.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Like I didn't like Red Dead 2. I loved Red Dead 1. Usually if something is getting rating in Korea, it's a real thing. So I'm excited about this. I just hope it doesn't launch in October with Assassin's Creed and Spider-Man. That's all.
So for me, I think you're more than likely right. I think this is probably a port or a slight glow up in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. I would love for it to be full out remake. I really, really love Red Dead Redemption. I actually really like the second one as well. But I hope you're right. This to me, usually when things get rated on the Korean ratings board, the announcement is usually pretty quick to follow. Historically, I believe it's within a couple weeks. So we may get some sort of inclination as to what this is. If this is a full-out remake, I'm 100% in. If this is a port, I'll see. Like you said,
if it was a full-out remake, I think we would have saw it already, like at Summer Games Fest or something. You know what I mean?
Possibly, yeah. But like again, maybe Rockstar is playing it close to the chest. We haven't seen a new game announcement from them in how many years now, right? Yeah. So it's like we don't really know what the strategy is with them anymore.
They can do whatever they want.
Exactly.
Mind you, the last ones they brought out, all those old Vice City and all that, they were bad.
Yeah, this could be a blog post for all we know. And they're like, by the way, one of the biggest games of the year is now dropping in November. I hope this is November. That's all I'm asking. Give it to me in November, before Avatar. Persona 5 Tactica is coming out in November. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But this is, I don't know. What this is exactly, I'm not sure. I hope it's a remake. I want it to be at least what you said, and not just here's a port of the game running exactly as it did 10 years ago.
Yeah, because that didn't work out for Vice City and all that. It was
no, it did not. So that rain, dude, that rain. We'll keep you all posted as to what this is, but let us know. Like, would you be picking up Red Dead Redemption if this is a remake, remaster? What do you want it to be? All right, dude. Let's get into what we're going to be calling the PlayStation, Microsoft, FTC Rock Block. Yeah,
hey, I'm feeling it.
I'm feeling it. Let's start with VGC. Written by Andy Robinson. Poorly redacted Sony docs reveal Last of Us and Horizon sequels cost $200 million plus.
Sharpie, dude. They used a Sharpie.
They used a Sharpie. Like, quite literally. One document published on Wednesday afternoon discusses the huge sums required to develop major first-party games at Sony Interactive Entertainment, redacting key figures such as team sizes, budgets, and development time. However, as discovered by journalist Tom Warren, the redacted information appears to have been done so with a pen, and then scanned in by lawyers, meaning that the numbers were still clearly visible. Shortly after discovery, the docs were pulled. Revealed in the documents is Horizon Forbidden West cost some $212 million to make and was worked on by around 300 employees for 5 years. The Last of Us Part 2 cost some $220 million to make and was worked on by around 200 people for over 5 years. It's already known that modern AAA budgets cost over $100 million to create, but this is the first time the full scale of SIE's budgets have been revealed. So, dude, this kind of goes on to say
it's big. That's big numbers, man.
Yeah.
To me, that's a lot more than I thought to make these games. So then I'm looking on how much they sold, and I'm like, it totally makes sense how much they cost. It totally makes sense that they're not day and date on the service. Mm-hmm. They need to make their money back. It also seems there's leaks along with this leak that make us seem that we're getting another version of The Last of Us Part 2. I know it's not as good as The Last of Us Part 1, but
debatable.
Yeah, it's not debatable. But
debatable.
I do laugh at how it got leaked. Like, they might as well just have leaked the whole thing.
They may have just left documents on a subway.
To me, this shows me, they put a lot of muscle and money behind what they're making in these games, and that's why there's so much marketing and everything that goes behind these single player campaigns. So as long as they're putting these budgets and these people are getting paid and, the working conditions are great, I'm all for it. Like, I'm sure if we got a list of all these games, like everything on the Microsoft side and everything on like they all cost a ton of money to make.
Yep.
It's just, it is what it is. It's business.
Yeah, this to me doesn't really bother me, like you mentioned. As long as the teams aren't crunching, as long as nobody's being treated poorly, like the amount of money that goes into this, like I do see the point that I'm seeing a lot of the kind of the takes around this is that this kind of development is unsustainable in the long haul. For one person to be working on a project for over 5 years, it's draining, both physically, mentally, like creatively, to put that much into a product that takes that long. I can't imagine working. Can you imagine if we worked on like one video for 5 years? Like we would be creatively burnt out probably halfway through, if that. So I am curious as to how this will kind of affect a larger conversation overall in current AAA video game development, because clearly, we hear success stories of stuff like Insomniac on how they literally have stories about how they don't crunch and how they've been working to better their conditions. But like, how many games have we gotten out of them the last few years? Like, it's interesting to see, like,
Spider-Man Remastered, Miles Morales, and
Ratchet and Clank, dude. Like, look at how many games came out in the time that it took One Last of Us Part 2. And obviously, to make a masterpiece like that blows the first one out of the water takes time and it takes money. But like, I'm curious to see how this is kind of roll on moving forward, because again, like the actual inherent story here, I don't think this is surprising. I mean, this basically is what the Flash budget was, and these things actually made their money back. But I think that the point that you mentioned with
should have done the sad horn.
Yeah. But like I think the point that you mentioned. Yes, exactly. I think the point that you make as to this is why, for all the conversations that we've had, are they going to be day and date? Are they going to be 6 months down the road? They're not going to. The amount of money that they're putting into these games, I'm sure the return that they're seeing on every copy sold versus what they would see on every copy downloaded on PS Plus Extra or Premium, night and day, dude. Night and day. Like
100%. And we have a question that kind of I can't remember who asked it, but about live service. It's in there. It kind of goes with this. Maybe this is why we're getting these live service games.
Drellesh from the Discord asks, question for the show. Following Brian's question, we'll get into Brian's question in a sec. Do any of you plan on investing in being in a committed relationship with a Sony live service game? Does it fit your gaming habits? Would love to hear your thoughts.
Oh, no, it's Brian's question. It doesn't matter. We'll get to both of them because they kind of have to go with this. Mm-hmm. But yes, I would say I don't play live service games. I don't play Fortnite, but I play The Division 2. I play MLB The Show. These are live service games. Mm-hmm. I like Destiny 2. So if the game has a good enough hook, then I'll probably into it. And I do think, going to the other question that we'll ask in a bit, I do think maybe this is the reason, because they need this to subsidize the money and the time and effort it takes to make these single player campaign games.
Yeah, let's bring Brian in right away. Well, hold on. Drellish's question. For me, I'll never say no, dude. I've ended up going in on Marvel Snap for a while. I played the game for like 6 months. Honkai Star Rail is another live service game that I wasn't expecting to engage in. So for me, I'll never say no. If the game comes out and I hop into it and I'm enjoying it, it's free to play and monetization isn't egregious.
If you're feeling it?
If I'm feeling it. Right now. I'll never say no. I don't really have an inherent issue with live service games if they're done properly. The problem is that so often, more than not, they are not done properly and they're just gross. I mean, look at what's going on with Overwatch 2 as a shining example of what not to do. So for me, if the monetization isn't crap and the game is fun, why not? Like, it's not like it's costing me anything. And if I choose to pay for parts of it, then again, that's on me. So I'll never say no. I just need to see what it is first before I kind of decide to spend money on it. Brian Eck, also in the Discord, asks, hey, gents, a lot of juicy details have come out from the MSFTC trial. Among them, the budget for Sony's big title games, including The Last of Us Part 2, $220 million, and Horizon Forbidden West, $212 million, which is more than the first season of HBO's The Last of Us, not including the marketing budget. The rate at which video game costs are growing seems unsustainable. Bingo. What could this mean for consumers? Do you think Sony is pursuing live service games more aggressively because of the growing cost of their first-party games? Would love to hear your thoughts. Court, take it up.
I 100% think they do. I think this offsets. Like, we know live service games, if they hit big. Like, I look at Fortnite and all those are huge success stories, but we have these other games like Warframe and such that had this gradual build up and they just became this thing. The game I play, the Division 2, everybody thought it was dead and they showed the numbers. Like, this game isn't dead. It's been out for 4 years and people are still playing it. If you can get a core fan base and it's big enough and you give good content, that's the only thing. Like, with the Division, the thing I like about it is that the seasons passes and the battle pass, like, the content's good. It's a good drip. You're still getting content. We've seen games fail when they don't give content. Halo Infinite, perfect example of a live service game that came out and the battle pass didn't make any sense. The progression system made no sense, and huge fans, except the hardcore fans that refuse to say the game isn't good, and that's up to them. To me, I don't like it. I think the gameplay itself of the multiplayer is one of the best shooters there are, but all the mechanics behind it just are a convoluted mess. But there's lots of games like that where if you don't do it properly, you don't do it. And look at what we had, Last of Us Factions. We didn't see it this year because the team over at Bungie was like, yeah, it ain't good. Like, don't do this. Don't release this game in the state it's in. Will we ever get to see it? Who knows? But if you release stuff like Bungie, you can make money, and that can subsidize those other projects, and we'll get to see those indies, and we'll get to see those huge AAA games, and these other ones can live on. And if those teams are like, hey, I want to go work on that, then maybe they can start doing that so they don't have that burnout you're talking about.
And I think that, Brian makes a really, great point here because it is unsustainable. I think my biggest kind of upfront worry because I don't have it, like I said, I don't have an inherent issue with PlayStation getting into live service. Because they're working on live service games does not mean they're going to not be working on the games that we've come to know and love and expect out of them. I don't think that's, one doesn't beget the other. So for me, I think my biggest kind of upfront worry is how much of this are they doing, right? And like, you're right, content and messaging and monetization is kind of the three biggest things when you're diving into live service. Take a look at X-Defiant, right? Buzz around the game seems to be starting to get positive, and they're already coming out and saying, for the first calendar year, a new map every month.
It's fun. I played X-Defiant. I like it. It's fun.
So that's what I mean.
I hated it a year ago. I hated it.
So that's what I mean. Proper messaging. If you, dropping a new map every month, if they actually stick to that content rollout plan, that is a consistent feed of content for you to choose to engage in and enjoy. So if this
and they do their maps all themed on like Ubisoft properties.
Exactly.
So like you're already like, hey, I like this game. Oh, but they got a map about it.
So that's what I mean. Like if done properly here, there is, because again, we've seen the numbers across all the live service games imaginable, across your Fortnites, across your Warframes. This is a great example of one that seems niche but is actually huge. Like look at like a lot of the mobile games. Like when it's done properly, I genuinely agree with you that I do think that this would be a way to see more investment back into PlayStation IPs. The problem is that right now they're doing like the spaghetti at the wall effect. They're throwing so much at once just to pray that one or two stick, right? Like that's exactly what they're trying to do. Because once you get people engaged, the whales will spend money. Casual people spend money if they're engaging with it enough, right? Like there's a way to do this that doesn't feel gross, that actually gives people what they're looking for. Because what's one of the top things that the PlayStation community has been asking for? Give me a first-party shooter that feels fun and is great.
Still don't understand why we didn't see a SOCOM. Like maybe it makes too much sense to have some of their live service games of hey, we've got these franchises that are dormant. Why don't we make Killzone or SOCOM a live service game?
Resistance.
And they don't, and it's just exactly Resistance. Yet we get Foam Party, and I'm just like, what are you doing?
Foam Stars, game of the generation. Apparently, it's great. Gonna put Splatoon 6 feet underground. But yeah, dude, I think that that's
not hard. That game ain't good.
That's what, like, I think that this is exactly what they're doing. I hope it works in part. In no world do I want Sony to have 12 successful live service games. I don't want it. That's too much. But if some of them hit and start to give them that cash influx, because say what you will, Sony's a great company, PlayStation's wonderful. It ain't Microsoft. They don't have that kind of money. It's way smaller than what Microsoft is.
I would never call any companies great and wonderful.
Fine. Well, I like PlayStation, so that's it.
I like my PlayStation 5. Yeah. I like my Xbox. I like my Nintendo Switch. I like my iPhone. Like I like my units.
But my things. My things.
My things.
I take that back.
My precious
things. So for me, we'll see what happens. But I think Brian makes a great point here. Moving on to the next part of this wonderful rock block that we're feeling. Microsoft wanted to buy Square Enix, coming from Mike Straw from Insider Gaming. The case between Microsoft and the FTC continued on Wednesday in San Francisco, and with it came another reveal of a studio Microsoft wanted to purchase. According to unsealed documents, Microsoft wanted to try and buy Final Fantasy developer Square Enix to add to its portfolio. According to unsealed documents from 2019, Microsoft wanted to buy Square Enix for a number of different reasons ahead of the launch of what became the Xbox Series X and S. One of which was to increase its content on Xbox Game Pass and grow the live service, grow the service subscriber base, there we go, with new games available on day one. Another reason was to help the company grow in the Asian markets where Xbox has historically struggled. I don't know, dude. I get that these stories make headlines, but they're trying to buy everything under the sun. I don't think that this is surprising. They looked at Sega. They looked at Embracer. Well, I don't know. Did they look at Embracer?
Did you see that list? Did you see that?
Dude,
there's a list.
CD Projekt Red. Yeah,
they looked at everybody.
Of course. We know Microsoft are in acquisition season. This isn't a surprise. Like,
No,
obviously.
not at all. Yeah, to me, it's also a no-brainer. Like, but one thing I will say about these developers, they're all coming out and be like, "You can't buy me."
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, like Square Enix is pretty much like, you can buy exclusivity, but you ain't buying us.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to sell to you. Sega's like, back off. Like,
Yeah.
I love that. Sega's just like, go away. Don't even talk to me.
Nope.
Like, it's not happening.
Go acquire
Like,
Ubisoft.
We can go do all this kind of stuff. Ubisoft looks like the only one that might, or EA, how they did the splitting up. There's a lot of things going on in the industry. And one thing I'll say about this, I give it all to Microsoft on this. Like, people can say what they want, but like, they didn't give up. They could have threw in the towel hardcore when the Xbox One, literally was just a VCR that got thrown out in the backyard. Like, that thing is just a disaster from launch. Everything like everything about that console. They had one great game in Sunset Overdrive. I love that game. I wish it would come to play. It's such a good game, but such a disaster. Everything about that. And then Phil Spencer was like, I ain't giving up. And they went out. They were like, they heard about the Starfield thing, and I still think that's hilarious. It's like, that's the only reason they bought it. It's like, Starfield, I'm going to buy this company.
Yep.
Which is awesome that he could go out and do that, and that's great for Xbox players. Like, I think that is great. I think it's great to have competition. If we only have one console, oh my God, it'd be terrible. If there was only the PlayStation, I'd feel bad for gaming because they could just do whatever they want.
Well, on top of the fact that I think this really shows that I would go so far as to, like, in the last decade of gaming, Game Pass was probably the most brilliant decision that anybody's made that has paid off in massive dividends. It's gone so far as to completely be baked into their acquisition strategy because they wanted these companies to be able to take their games to put them on Game Pass day one or within a reasonable amount of time. The Game Pass was so successful, it backed PlayStation in a corner and made them change PlayStation Plus. That was literally the only reason why any of this has happened. So for me, none of this is surprising. Of course, they're going to consider acquiring everything under the sun because if everything is on Game Pass, guess what? More subscribers, more people on Xbox, more people engaged in the ecosystem, whether it's on PC, whether it's on Xbox or wherever else. So I don't know. This to me feels like no duh. If I was in Phil Spencer's shoes, I would also be like, I want to buy everything. I'll take one Square Enix. I'll take one Sega. I'll take, one CD Projekt Red. I'll take it all. So for me, of course, like, again, not surprising and kind of good on them. This is, at the end of the day, the thing that they've consistently heard about was PlayStation's exclusives are the best. PlayStation's exclusives are the best. That was the messaging for however many years.
And they still are as of right now. Like, they got an exclusive deal with Final Fantasy 16. And they're
Agreed.
going to have Spider-Man. Yes, the Xbox is going to have Starfield, but I don't know. Who's going to have the better exclusives by the end of the year? Even if Starfield's an amazing game, it's still going to have more exclusives on one console than the other. Xbox needs to fix themselves.
Well,
they need to, like, I see all the, like, hold the line and all that. I see that from Iron Lords and all that. I'm just like, what is this victory lap? Like, there shouldn't be a victory lap on either side is what I'm trying to get at. Like, it just, whatever, man.
Dude, listen, Xbox stays ahead in services. PlayStation stays ahead in exclusives, in my opinion.
Yep.
Where that will be 5 years from now, as we see all of this take root, because Xbox has been working hard to rectify the problems. They had one of the best showcases in the last Key 3 season. Like, by far, PlayStation didn't come out swinging. So they have an opportunity over the course of the next 5 years for us to change the way that we think about them. Because again, they are directly listening to everything that we've said. We need more exclusives.
We're also noticing these third parties that come on either service. Like Stray was day and date on PlayStation Plus. It's now coming to Xbox.
Yep.
Shredder's Revenge was day and date on Game Pass. It's now coming to PlayStation Plus. It's like, if it isn't a first party game and it's a third party game and it's day and date, I'm like, all right, well, a year from now it'll come to the other service.
Exactly. So again, like a healthy competition is not a bad thing. Continuing on to our next story, coming from Windows Central, written by Jez Corden. Bombshell. PlayStation emails reveal Sony's true feelings about Xbox's acquisition merger. The big Xbox FTC court continues, and today it looks like the FTC's arguments may have been melted thanks to internal Sony emails. Microsoft is trying to buy up Activision Blizzard came for $69 million. Yeah, we know that.
This is also conjecture. This is his opinion because we do get a ruling eventually on this, but Jez Corden is also giving an opinion saying that because of these emails, and because of Jim Ryan pretty much saying like he knew Call of Duty. What it sums up to is Jim Ryan admitting that he didn't think they would ever put Call of Duty exclusive, even if they bought Activision Blizzard.
Yeah,
because money.
I'm going to read directly from the emails here. It's not an Xbox exclusivity play at all. They're thinking bigger than that. They have the cash to make moves like this. I've spent a fair bit of time with both Phil and Bobby over the past few days. I'm pretty sure we'll continue to see COD on PS for many years to come. We have some good stuff cooking. Keep your eyes peeled. I'm not complacent, and I'd rather this hadn't happened, but we'll be okay. More than okay. So yeah, he's basically talking about how they're not really that worried, but of course with Call of Duty and some of the other leaks talking about how it's worth like what $800 million or something like that, or $80 million.
Candy Crush is one of the biggest games of this, and no one even talks about it.
But even like Call of Duty, in terms of the value to PlayStation, was an exorbitant number as well. It was huge.
Yeah, well, I think we're gonna get into that. The financials should be in there. The amount of money that Sony has made off Call of Duty is like a very large percentage of their market for the world. A huge revenue generator for them, like ginormous.
Exactly. And I mean, even like Phil went on record at the trial basically being like, Call of Duty will stay on PlayStation. Like,
yeah, but we also learned Phil can get mad and walk into a meeting and just turn it all exclusive. So,
well, let's hop into that story. Xbox, coming from IGN, written by Logan Plant. Xbox's Phil Spencer seemingly decided to make all ZeniMax games exclusives in 2021 meeting. Phil Spencer apparently made a quote-unquote big decision to make all ZeniMax games Xbox exclusive in a November 2021 meeting. This reveal came to light as part of the final day of testimony in this week's Microsoft FTC hearing. During Xbox CFO's Tim Stewart's time on the witness stand, the FTC called attention to a chat conversation from November 2021 between Stewart and Xbox's Matt Booty. The two were messaging about a recent monthly business review about meeting between Xbox and ZeniMax, where Spencer apparently made the call to make all ZeniMax games exclusive going forward, not just new IP. Stewart was asking Booty about what had happened during the meeting. All games going forward? Stewart asked. Not just new IP, but all games going forward? Wow. Booty confirmed this during the chat conversation, writing, Phil Spencer told him all titles going forward Xbox exclusive. The two went on to discuss how pulling all Bethesda titles from PlayStation would cause profit issues in Microsoft and ZeniMax's deal model. We will have accountability margin issues in the deal as we pull a huge number of PS units out of model, Stewart noted. This means that Xbox and ZeniMax's projected profits after the acquisition factored in releasing some Bethesda games on PlayStation before this decision came down from Spencer. When Spencer testified last week, this is the meeting that the Xbox leader claimed he didn't remember the specifics of. It's possible we'll get more information.
That was the best. Yep. I don't remember.
What do you mean? I don't remember. And clarity on this meeting during Microsoft cross-examination of Stewart, and we'll update this shortly if that's the case.
Phil Spencer forgets nothing, and then the one meeting where he comes in and pulls like throws his leather jacket and his track pants down, and he's like, "Listen, exclusive everywhere." And also, we got the announcement that Indiana Jones is exclusive, but there's documents that have leaked that Disney originally didn't want that at all. Disney wanted it on all consoles, but that was a Bethesda deal, and then once they made the merger, that deal was null and void, and Xbox was like,
Yeah, this to me, I get like. I don't know, dude. Like, I know there's
a no-brainer.
Like, yeah, again, like, this is exactly what people have been talking about for years. Like, why spend that much money to not at least make part of it exclusive? I will say that, like, you know, some of the stuff that has come out from Bethesda's side and ZeniMax's side being like, okay, hold on. So our games in Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 are exclusive, but Call of Duty doesn't have to be. Like, where is the line? How does this all work? So there's obviously internal confusion on that front as well as to how all that kind of plays out. But again, like, they need exclusives. That's what literally all the fandom has been asking for on the Xbox side. Where are the exclusives? Where is the competition? So I don't know, dude. Like for me,
it sucks that the next Wolfenstein and all those games are not going to come to PlayStation.
Yep.
Elder Scrolls is not coming. They won't officially. Elder Scrolls is not coming to PlayStation. The new Elder Scrolls, even though it ain't coming for another 5 years, it ain't coming to PlayStation.
If that.
It is what it is, but I do agree with where the ZeniMax and everybody, the confusion is, the Mojang games, they're coming to everywhere. Mind you, there's still confusion on that still.
Yep.
But you have all these certain properties. Oh, if we buy this, Call of Duty is going to stay, but the rest of it, like, you got to believe the rest of it besides Overwatch, it ain't going anywhere. Like, it's staying. Like, the next Diablo game would be only Xbox, all that kind of stuff moving forward. I think one of the things about Xbox is, and it's been proven this year with games like Redfall and stuff like that, they need to get their poop together. Like, they seem to be like, they have no problem throwing the cash around, but chickens with their heads cut off once they get it. They got these toys and like, well, now what do we do with them? There needs to be more consensus. I would rather them just come out once they buy them and be like, you know what? It's all ours, and we're going to be all hands on deck, and they're part of Xbox Studios now, Microsoft Studios now, and we're all one big team. Instead, it sounds like they're like, he's over there, and so. It sounds like a high school party where, somebody's over in the corner and they don't like the other person, and like
the emo kids are over here, the jocks are over here,
kids,
the cheerleaders are there.
That's what Xbox sounds like right now. And that's only because we're getting to hear all the behind the scenes stuff. Yep. PlayStation sounds like I'm the king of the world and no one can stop me. That's what they sound like.
King of the castle.
Exactly. But Xbox sounds like a disjointed high school right now that needs to get their ducks in a row here.
Yeah, like it feels like they're trying, because what I will say about Xbox over the course of the last decade, they've built up a lot of goodwill in the last number of years about being the one that's like, hey, PlayStation, let's have crossplay. Hey, Nintendo, we're gonna work with you. So they've come out and they've built this image of almost being like the good guy, right? They're the ones that are willing to play fair. They're the ones that are willing to be nice about what they have. They're the ones who, hey, look, Minecraft stayed on PlayStation, and Nintendo's been like, we're doing whatever we want to do.
Crossplay with Nintendo with that commercial.
And then PlayStation was the one that was catching all the heat for not wanting crossplay, for not wanting this. Obviously, a world where people can play with who they want to play and where they want to play is the most ideal as long as things get figured out. That's unfortunately not the world that we live in. I'm glad that crossplay is now a thing. It's a thing that we asked for so many years. But like, Xbox was the good guy, but now they're getting into plays with exclusivity. People are like, why are you doing this, Xbox? It's like, what do you mean? Of course
they were only the good guy because they had no other choice and they wanted to get some people back. Like,
right.
Let's be honest here. They've made some very smart business decisions on those fronts. It's the behind the scenes where it's just like, Jesus, guys.
But that's what I mean. So now they're caught in a place where they built up this public image, but now they know they need to get a little bit more aggressive because they flat out admitted that they've lost how many times now over the course of the last month or two.
Yeah, they've already admitted this generation's over.
Yeah, so it's like they need to get more aggressive. They need to get better in what they're doing. They need to figure their things out, especially with their internal studios, because obviously things are all over the place. So I want them to figure it out. And like, obviously, it sucks when a franchise that you love or games that you've come to love to play and expect to have everywhere, that's taken away from you. Obviously, the thing that you've had is no longer there. Always sucks. There's going to be a ton of PlayStation players who are upset that they can't play the new Doom, that they can't play the new Dishonored if we ever got another one. Possible Quake. If they can't play Elder Scrolls, I get it 100%. This is just the nature of the industry that as it currently stands. We'll see what happens over the course of the next number of years, but like, who knows, man? Who knows?
This is where video games are going. It's all about exclusivity.
Yep. And it's exclusivity, it's live service, and it's the thing. We'll see. We've seen it in the last decade when they had like your DLC or your online passes and this. Gamers are loud enough that things will always course correct in some way, shape, or form.
I guess we'd be remiss to say if you're just a PC player, you get all of them.
Yeah, you get all of them.
You get every game.
Late, but you get all of them.
And, probably broken and not working half the time. And you've got to update like 15 different drivers. And you got to have this like microwave of a machine pumping out heat all the time. And you're just like, PC. But whatever. It's cool with your mouse and keyboards and your monitors and all that great stuff that you have to upgrade like every 5 days. Yeah,
except the Steam Deck. That one's awesome because it just works.
Fair enough.
But yeah, dude, we'll see what happens. Court, do we want to talk about Canada or we want to roll into questions?
What about Canada? It's Canada Day.
We're going to talk about Canada. Xbox claims worldwide regulators on board with Activision Blizzard merger. Canada disagrees.
Yeah.
Coming from IGN, written by Taylor Lyles. Despite Xbox declaring that its proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard has the support of regulators worldwide, Canada's regulation agency has publicly come out and said it does not support this deal. In a letter, Canadian Competition Bureau lawyer Jonathan Bittrin wrote to Microsoft lawyers Beth Wilkinson and Bambo Obaro to address some quote-unquote factual inaccuracies in a court document submitted during the evidentiary hearing between the FTC and Microsoft, noting Microsoft's declaration that every single worldwide regulator is on board with Microsoft purchasing Activision Blizzard. Contrary to the foregoing quotations from the memorandum, in a video conference on May 5th, 2023, the Bureau communicated to Microsoft and Activision's Canadian Council that the Bureau has concluded that the proposed merger is likely to result in substantial prevention and/or lessening of competition with respect to gaming consoles and multi-game subscription services, quote-unquote, as well as cloud gaming, and that the Bureau is continuing to monitor the transaction, Bittrin wrote. So basically, Canada's like, maybe not. Maybe not all worldwide. Maybe not.
I'm actually surprised about this because PlayStation has such a big piece of the pie that when they keep claiming that, I honestly think this would make the market more competitive, but what do I know? But I do find this hilarious that Canada wasted the like we've heard the UK be like, nope, it ain't gonna happen. So that's a huge market. And if Canada is now saying no, it ain't gonna happen. So all you have left is the US, because the Xbox market and the Asian market, it's not huge. It's so tiny. So you're telling me all they have left is the US. This almost, and I'm not a lawyer, this is just conjecture, this is just my opinion. This to me says the deal is pretty much like, this is DOA. Like, I don't know how they do this. If you can't have the games in the UK and you can't own the games in Canada and you can only own them in the United States, and like, what are you going to do then? Xbox is just going to be this thing where in Canada, like, we get to play every game, but in the United States, they only can play them on, like, what? I don't understand.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like you said, I'm not a lawyer. I can't speak to the legalese of all this, but it just the last week has been interesting to say the least. We'll obviously keep you all posted as these things kind of come out and the actual decisions kind of are made. Because like I don't even know what this means. That like even if the FTC goes ahead with it, does that mean for the UK? What would that mean for Canada? Because obviously they're not going to develop multi-platform if they don't have to. So it's just like how does all this kind of fall out? I have no idea.
Everybody's going to get a VPN.
I guess so. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but we'll keep you all posted as all this falls out. But we have a bunch of questions to talk about from our wonderful community. If you want your questions on the show, leave a comment in the YouTube, hit us up on the Twitter post that goes live each and every week, or come join the free Discord where we hang out and talk all about beavers. Black Wyvern starts things off with a question rock block asking, with so many great games that have come out this year, have you had a chance to dive into your backlog? Assuming you have, which one has been your favorite game this year, which was not released this year, Court?
So I started playing Far Cry 6. Kind of really liked it, but unfortunately I started Final Fantasy and it was out. But I technically Division 2 is part of my backlog because it had all this new content that I hadn't checked out. So I would say the Division 2 is numero uno. Like it's my second game. I am going to try Final Fantasy 7 after the remake, as promised to Matt. Like I am gonna go try that. And I did download Shredder's Revenge.
Nice.
So there are games that I played it on Xbox, but the problem is I want the trophies.
Fair.
Because I have an issue.
Right.
So I need to go get the trophies. Same with Far Cry 6. I didn't finish it on Xbox, and now I'm like, all right, I'm going to go back and try and finish it. And, but yeah, Division 2 for sure. Like it's on my backlog, but I've been playing it for 4 years. But at the same time, man, that game's good.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, Inscription. It's a game that I always wanted to check out and never did. And then as I kind of got it running on Steam Deck, I devoured that game earlier this year. Fantastic card game. Semi-roguelike as well. But like just the way that game changes and evolves over the course of the game, it's so good.
Card game roguelike.
You know it, dude. Yikes. So good. It was so good. And also now on PlayStation stuff as well. So I think that would be Inscription for sure, Black Wyvern. Great question. Ash_Trobot comes in with a couple different questions. Questions for you, legends. No, you. Are you guys worried about more game releases becoming digital only? Do you think we ever see a world where we have digital releases only?
Matt, as the physical game collector, I will let you answer this first because my answer is going to be...
Hold on. I am not a physical game collector.
Oh.
I only
collector's editions?
Exactly. I only pick up games physically if it has a cool steelbook and it's a game that I very much care about, because I won't do it for games. You can have a beautiful steelbook, but if I know I'm not like that engaged, I'm not going to buy it. I'm just going to buy it digital. Or if I know that I'm going to play it, beat it, and then trade it back in for something else. That's the only reason why I pick up physical. I don't have a big physical collection sitting around. I'm very much the type of player who will buy stuff, trade it in, buy stuff, trade it in, buy stuff, trade it in. Like I'll time the GameStop trade-in offers to be able to get stuff. I don't think that we'll see a world, at least not in the next decade, at the very least, where we go fully digital.
I think we do.
I think the agreements that these companies have with the big box stores, with the physical retailers, are still too prevalent for it to change anytime soon. An eventuality in the next 20, 25 years, possibly. But I think that in the next little while, I think we'll always have your companies that will have your limited runs that do small editions of physical for the people that want them.
A niche.
And the niche games. I'm the one thing that I'll say that I'm quote unquote like worried about is only because of things like console lifespan, depending on how they roll these things over, in perpetuity moving forward.
Well, look what Nintendo's done until supposedly the rumored new Switch. Like they've always made you rebuy it, right?
Exactly. Or just the fact that like if your console dies and those games are not playable on the PS6, then like I think there's a massive, very, very great reason for game preservation. I think it's huge. For me personally, just as a consumer, I don't really buy physical much anymore, and I haven't for a number of years. Ever since I went to Korea, where I couldn't buy physical editions of the games because I couldn't understand the language, I've been pretty much like digital first for quite a while. So I understand the worry. I understand it, especially from a game preservation side. I just think that this is more of an eventuality than anything else.
Yeah, as someone that used to collect CDs and loves his music, I've switched to digital all of everything. Like I even sold my vinyl collection. The only game that I've bought in physically was Cyberpunk, is because it was $10.
Yeah.
And other than that, I am totally only buying digital. 9 times out of 10, it's always the cheaper version eventually when it goes on sale. The physical copy always ends up being the more expensive copy. And 2, I don't want these physical discs. And also, I know everybody's going to hate me when I say this. I rarely go back and play an old game because I just want to play the new stuff. So I understand game preservation, but, I could just download somebody will put it onto a PC and I can play it through a ROM. Like,
oh, now of course a PC player playing his old games on the PC.
I don't care about playing old games because half the time when I play them, they're just not good. I tried to go back and play a bunch of old games, and 9 times out of 10, it's like, yikes. Xbox does a better job than PlayStation in making old games not feel old with all the systems on the Xbox Series X and getting the automatic updates and so on and so forth. But if you're playing on PlayStation, these old games, 9 times out of 10, they feel old.
Yeah, like again, to each their own.
Ash has
a couple more questions. Exactly. Ash has a couple more questions. Do you guys have different color plates on your PS5?
I do not, but I wanted to, but they always are sold out, so I haven't. I was thinking about switching to black, but I have a white desk with the white PlayStation 5, and I have it underneath my desk. It looks fine. I would want a Spider-Man plate. I would have wanted a God of War plate. I am so confused, but obviously they've tried this before with like consoles and maybe they just didn't see the return. So I'm still confused why PlayStation doesn't do it. They do a LeBron James one that meh, and they don't do others.
Yeah, I don't either. I want them. They're also very expensive for what they are. I literally walked into a GameStop and I was like, "Do you have black plates?" And he's like, "No, we're sold out." But he's like, "Here's what I did. Go to Michael's, which is a Canadian craft store." He's like, "I bought this spray paint and just sprayed mine black, and they look great, and it cost literally like less than $10." So like, I didn't do that, but I've thought about it. I'm with you. I want specific themed ones. Give me a Spider-Man one. Give me a God of War one. Give me cool stuff, because what I would do,
Last of Us Part 1, the greatest.
Last of Us Part 2, the better one. It's like I would have like a plate for Spider-Man on one side and a plate for Last of Us Part 2, the better game, on the other side. What I have started doing though, which was an idea that was that my wife actually came up with. I'm starting to sticker my white plates. I put on an RGG sticker. I'm gonna be adding more stickers. So then my eventual plan was, as I kind of fill both sides, buy new plates, and I can mount these ones or do something cool with them just to hold on to, and have like, here are my PS5 plates with a bunch of like Spider-Man stickers and this, that, and the other. I think it would look cool. So
yeah, that's not bad. People do that with their MacBooks all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna start doing that. Though I will say the ones that I've been very much eyeing. I'm forgetting which company has them. I'm not sure if they were D-brand or not. But the like translucent neon old school looking plates, like the ones that are like almost like see-through. Ooh, those look so good.
I've seen the D brand ones with the vents that look terrible that people try and like act like. Those look terrible with the little vents on either side. I don't get it.
Not that. No, these are like the neon, like you remember like the old school N64, like the translucent bright ones.
Yeah.
They have those for the PS5 now, and they look fantastic. So I've been really, really on the fence about that. Ash's final question says, Court, is the Division 2 worth getting back into? I played it about a year back and it was good, but I fell off.
Yes. But that's if you played and you fell off because you didn't think there was enough content and the story wasn't good, they've revamped the whole thing. Listen to PSVG. Donnie Reese hopped back into it. A recommendation to me. And he felt like it was a whole new game. He loved it. He's playing through the story. He's not doing all the multiplayer stuff, but he was like, wow, it is a whole new game. And they did. Like, as someone that, when he got his Xbox Series X, and was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to replay The Division. So I bought The Division 2 on the Xbox, and I replayed the story. And that's when I learned how much they had changed it. Like, they've changed the way the missions are done. I've already gotten down pat where all the enemies pop out and spawn. And, like, I figured it out again. But, like, they've changed the game. And I think The Division 2, if it released in the state it was right now, would be huge. And to PlayStation people, it is free on PlayStation Plus. You can always get to level 30. To play with myself or anybody that is playing endgame content, you will need the Warlords of New York expansion. So I will say to you, if you get back into it, if the Warlords of New York expansion is on sale, I'd probably go buy it if you're liking what you're doing, because you will need that to play. I know Darth Sturdius and I were trying to like finish off that stuff for him so that he could play with my clan. But yeah, I love the game. Like, love this game. It's probably one of my favorite games in the last 10 years.
Okay. Who knows? Maybe I'll have to re-download this. There's just so many games, Court. There's so many.
Yeah, there's too many.
There's too many. We got 2 questions left. Nagachaka asks, now that Court is a fan of JRPGs, since he got into Final Fantasy 16, what's the next JRPG for him to check out? Final Fantasy 15, Tales of Arise, or maybe even Persona 5 Royal, Court?
So, I have tried Persona 5. I hated that game with a passion.
You don't like turn-based.
Yeah, it took forever. I remember I messaged you. I was like, dude, I am still talking to people in this city. Like, when do I get to do anything in this game? That game, that hurt me. But, I'm not saying it's a bad game. Just for me, I didn't like it.
Sure.
I am going to try Final Fantasy VII Remake again because I do have it. It's free. I will try the ones that are free, and I have them through PlayStation Plus. The Tales series, not a chance. Not a chance.
We'll see. I feel like Tales of Arise is one that we may actually be able to swing you around on just because of how good and action the combat is. Okay. If you like Final Fantasy 16, Tales of Arise isn't a far shot away. Court doesn't like turn-based. I've tried. It doesn't work. Like I've
tried them.
To each their own. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just, that's why. So I think we're going to have to keep Court on the action side of the JRPG space to keep him engaged. And we'll see what we can work on.
I'm liking Final Fantasy 16. Just let it go, people.
Never. Our final question comes from Steve Vigvari at SVigvari over on Twitter. Hi, PlayStation Drive. Longtime listener, first-time caller. F, marry, kill. Pancakes, French toast, and waffles.
Okay, so French toast is my favorite. Like, I literally made it for my daughter this morning. It was what she wanted. It's her last day of school today. And she was like, can I have French toast? I said, not a problem. It's one of my specialties. So I would marry French toast. I would 100% kill pancakes. Like, I could do without them. And then waffles is the F. Like, I am not a pancake guy. At all. Like, at all. So I think they're too heavy and they're just meh. Definitely waffles. They are awesome. Plus, if you can put some fried chicken on that and put some syrup on that, and you just mwah. And French toast is just S tier. So it is what it is.
I now understand why you like The Last of Us Part 1, because I'm sorry, French toast is going in the guillotine. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think you've tried good French toast.
I have. Listen.
No,
I won't disagree. I like French toast, but coming up against waffles and pancakes, bro, Pancakes toast are terrible. French toast is in the guillotine. Sorry, buddy, you're getting your neck chopped off.
Have you tried it with like on the nice brioche bread with the nice powdered sugar?
Yes, listen, I don't not like French toast, but in comparison to the others that are currently on this list, I would F pancakes, okay? A good chocolate chip pancake is S tier, hard to beat. it like with the syrup and like, you know, a bit of the Cool Whip and stuff. Incredible. I would have to marry waffles. The versatility, like you mentioned, chicken waffles. The versatility, bro. You know, you can have chicken on them. You can have fruits on them. You can put chocolate chips. You can put Nutella. There's a world around waffles for you to engage in. That's just so much. You could have a waffle every day of the week and never eat the same waffle.
I've tried a waffle hamburger. You made the waffle the bun. It's actually good.
There you go. So for me, French toast out in the gutter. I would F pancakes because they're just so good, so sweet, so delicious.
And wrap them around you.
So quick, dude, instantly. And I would marry
that warm pancake.
No, buddy, that syrup, dude. Can you imagine the noises that would come out of that thing as you get in there and put it in your mouth? Incredible, dude. Just dripping maple syrup everywhere, bro. And then I would marry waffles for the versatility. You know, every day is a different adventure with waffles, and you can never go wrong. But
Such
that
a good answer.
Brings us to the end of the show, everybody. Whether you're in Canada, happy Canada Day. If you're in the States, happy 4th of July. If you're international, I just hope you're doing well. We appreciate all of you always, Court. If people wanted to see and hear more from you, where could they do so?
You can find me on Twitter at Court Lalonde, or you can find me also at our Carpool Gaming, or on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m. on 3 Dads in the Console.
Yep, you could do all of that. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Matt_SilverSoul. And obviously, we have to give a huge thanks to our wonderful patrons. We appreciate all of you so very, very much who come to patreon.com/carpoolgaming. But we got to shout out our ultimate producers, Robbie Bobby Miller. Head to twitch.tv/Robbie Bobby Miller. Tony Baker, who you can check out at youtube.com/quest4pixels. Jonathan Brown, who makes fantastic music. You can go check out his link tree at pme.jib. Lee Navarro, the fearless leader of the Phoenix Overdrive Extra Life team. Go check him out at phoenixoverdrive.com. And Trucker Sloth, our platinum producers, Markus McCracken and RJ Kern. And of course, our gold members, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, Bowsah, Cecily Carrozza, Dannohh, Drellesh, Emily O'Kelly, Fulish Fuji, Hoppel, John 32, Jonas Young, Jose Jimenez, Marcus O'Neill, ScheiGuy, Tim Aulph, and Tim Paullin. Thank you all so very much, folks. Stay safe out there. Enjoy your game, and we'll be back very, very soon. We love you all very, very much. Peace out.
Peace.